Hello and what's up, RSC Pokemon Challenges fam? How you guys doing? We are back, episode 11 of the Roxanne Minimum Battle series. We're more than halfway through the series at this point, and considering that we only started this back like at the end of January, month and a half to be halfway through, really not too bad. And so far, we have managed to get through Roxanne with maybe more Pokemon than you would have expected, but really not great. 66 legit Pokemon getting through, 22 Pokemon saved by members from the fail column, and 12 Pokemon getting through with struggle. The fail column has expanded quite a bit though, basically taking just about anything that is not water, grass, or steel type, but you can see even many of those types are down there in that fail column because they didn't get the moves. Now today we are coming in with 11 more challengers. We have Shellder and Cloyster, we've got the entire Gastly line, we've got Onix, which means Steelix is coming in this episode as well. Unown is going to take quite a bit of doing because there are going to be a lot of different unknown types to test here in this one, which is why there are fewer challengers, but there will be a lot of unknowns. Numel and Camerupt are coming in, and we've got Torkoal. Now, I'm just going to share my initial predictions as usual. I think that Cloyster gets through on the basis of its high defense, even though it does have the weakness to rock. I think the high defense plus probably getting a water or ice type move at the start of the game is enough. I'm not sure about Shellder though, because I don't think Shellder's going to learn a water type damage dealing move before we get to Roxanne. I think it's probably just going to know like tackle and withdraw and maybe get something else, but I don't think it's going to get water gun, so it's probably out of there. The Gastly line is going to be incredibly interesting. We're going to have speed, and we may have hypnosis right from the start of the game. If we do, then we could go for some sleep strats. Maybe some licks could actually take Pokemon down if they're asleep long enough, but we have no resistance to the rock type moves. So I think that Gastly probably gets wrecked. Maybe Gengar can find a way through this. Haunter, I think, is going to be a coin flip. That's just my initial impression. Steelix and Onix are going to depend on their movesets. I think they're getting Screech and Tackle. There might be a bind coming in. We'll just have to see. The unknowns are all going to be running with 70 power hidden power typings. And we're going to do this one kind of weird, where we're going to start with the weakest unknown against every opponent and see if it can get through, and then step to the next unknown from the list after that, just to see how many actually complete the challenge. Then for Numel, Camerupt, and Torkoal, because they are fire types, I think they get wrecked. I think they're just out of there. I don't see any way that we're going to get them through, but maybe the moveset surprises me. I never pregame. I never look at the movesets in advance unless somebody spoils down below. I just use previous knowledge. And yeah, I just don't think they're going to get anything to get through here, but place your own predictions down below, including how many unknown types with the 70 power do you think are going to get through in this episode? I think just because of that this is actually going to be one of the easier episodes against Roxanne, because we're going to have a lot of types that are actually good against her with the unknowns specifically, but we'll just have to see. I'm going to jump in on that Cloyster first, and let's just see how this goes. Now, Cloyster's claim to fame, of course, is its massive 180 defense, which means that even with our weakness to the rock type, we shouldn't be taking as much damage. Add on the fact that we have 70 base speed, so not great speed. 1 or 2 rock tombs will have us being slower, but decent attacking stats. If we just get a water or ice type move, I think we're good to go. We're just going to have to see in this one, but I do have a bit of faith that we're actually going to get through with at least this first Pokemon and kind of kick things off on a good note to start today. Now, ultimately, I decided to put Cloyster into the Torchic Ball because Mudkip will resist our ice type moves, and later in the game, our stab typings will just be neutral against the Swampert and Marshtomp, whereas against Trico, ice would be super effective. Against Torchic, water would be super effective. I think this might be the hardest rival, but tell me if you think I'm wrong. Here we come into the game starting with Withdraw, Supersonic, Aurora Beam, and Protect. And this is the kind of moveset that I want to see. The reason I think this is going to be so good is because, number one, we can protect ourselves. So if we do have some situations where we need like one extra turn, or maybe we're stalling for some like confusion luck or something, we can protect ourselves while we wait for the opponent to hit themselves in confusion. The withdraw means we can further raise our defense stat to be even more bulky. So we could go confusion plus withdraw in order to survive against Roxanne. Aurora Beam is a same type super effective move against the Geodudes at least. The Supersonic is probably going to be the key strat there, but let's just see. First things first, we got to take on the rival. Now, against this Mudkip, we're stuck with only Aurora Beam, which is resisted. Still, it's doing decent enough damage. Looks like 5 damage with that first hit. So we should be getting a 4-hit KO, and Tackle does nothing to us because we have 180 base defense. So we completely destroy that Pokemon. We do not level up because we are in the slow level up group. That's probably the only thing that's going to hold this Cloyster back in the long run, if I have to guess. That and the fact that, of course, we don't learn any level up moves with a Cloyster. We kind of wish that we had Clamp because that would be much better on everything. Like, yes, it's a fairly weak move, but I'm pretty sure it would be enough to one-shot against the Geodudes and then be super effective against the Nose Pass and allow us to still use Aurora Beam in between. So, you know, I think that would actually be the better move, but I think we'll get through with this just fine. Now, just going off of the last episode where we had the Dugong, I don't think that Aurora Beam is actually going to one-hit KO on the Geodudes. Even though it is super effective though, it should carry us through Devon's Pokemon just fine, but because we're going to be under-leveled going to Roxanne, we probably won't get the one-hitters. That's where the confusion strats are probably going to come in, and we're just going to have to see if they end up being like 2-hit KOs there instead. Now, at least against Tiger Devon, we did one-shot against his 2 Geodudes with the Aurora Beam, and we get to level 8, so we get that damage rounding level just in time for Roxanne. Like I said though, I don't think we're going to one-shot against her Geodude. I think we're going to need to go Supersonic Confusion and then try to set up maybe a withdraw in order to reduce a little bit of damage there, and then go from there into the Aurora Beams. We'll see how this goes though. Let's test this out. So Roxanne attempt number 1, I'll lead off by just going all in on attack, just to see. Here we Aurora Beam on the first Geodude. We do one-shot there. I didn't see if that was a crit or not. We get to level 9 right here. Second Geodude comes out, and no, we just legit knock that Pokemon out. That's fine then. We get to Nose Pass. Here we go Aurora Beam, and it does 7 damage. So this would be a 6-hit KO. Fortunately, we don't get hit turn 1, so I'm going to confuse the Nose Pass after that. It's going Harden, which isn't really a big deal. We get Rock Tombed right here though, and it did 16 damage. That I think reveals that we do need the withdraws here. We're just missing all the Supersonic. We finally hit it. Now I'm going to go for withdraw a lot of times. Basically just trying to increase my defense as much as possible while it's hitting itself in confusion. We get tackled down to doing basically nothing, and it won't use Rock Tomb unless it's going to get a KO on me. So we can basically sit here and go for the Supersonics again, and then just finish the withdraw setup so that we take very little damage. And now back to Aurora Beam. When she starts tackling, we'll go back to the confusion here, and we're just hoping for misses or for her to hit herself. She does still have potions on this Pokemon, which is a problem, but we are dealing decent enough damage that I think eventually we can get through. It might be a little bit luck based. We might not get the range on this first attempt. We'll just have to see. She's got us down to 12 HP as we have to confuse her again. She hits herself in confusion. We Aurora Beam. She hits herself again. Once again, Aurora Beam. We've got her on low health. She tackles, but we do manage the KO. So it's not super fast, but you do get through Roxanne on the first attempt there with this Cloyster. And it's all just due to the fact that we have a lot of defense, and it turns out that we do in fact one-shot the Geodudes, even though we were at a lower level. Now we're going to have to see how we do in the next section though, because this is a Pokemon that might get completely wrecked by Brawly and Watson. Like, sure, the Marshtomp isn't going to be great against us. We will have Lombre, which we can just hit with an Aurora Beam and probably knock out, but the gym leaders are just going to be brutal for our ice water typing here, and we aren't going to have anything good, I don't think, in order to take out Watson's Magneton. Though maybe with the Game Corner we can get Ice Beam. I think that's about all we've got. So we're just going to have to test that and see, but for now, hey, Cloyster, it does get through. I guess we've got to check in on Shellder. And Shellder comes in with really high defense, the same as its evolved form, but it just has much lower stats outside of that. It's basically a min-maxed Pokemon where only the defense is really good. We're just gonna have to see how this actually works out for us though. Maybe, just maybe, if we get the right setup with the right starting moves, we can get through. We will actually get level up moves unlike our evolved form, and maybe we get something that's different enough to get us through here. It's always weird when you go from these stone evolutions that generally start with 4 moves, but aren't necessarily the same as the level up moves of their unevolved forms, which I think makes these Pokemon more necessary to try even when the evolved form does struggle a little bit. Plus, we are only neutrally affected by rock here, so we do have a pretty big advantage there. Still, let's just see what moves we actually get. This time the Shellder is inside of the Mudkip Ball to go up against the Trico line since it's just a pure water type. Even if it gets an ice type move, it's not going to get the same type attack bonus, which is why I think this is correct. But let's just see what we get. We start with Tackle and Withdraw, exactly as I expected. So we will take down the Zigzagoon. I think we can get through Rival 1. I'm worried about everything after that. And we are going to get Supersonic at level 9, and Aurora Beam doesn't come in until level 17. Are you kidding me? I think that means this Pokemon gets wrecked. Now, at least with Shell Armor, we can avoid critical hits, which could be useful on the minimum battle setting, but I'm just not really sure this Pokemon's going to stand any chance against anything, particularly when we get to Roxanne. I'm just not sure Withdraw plus our defense is going to be enough. First up, though, we've got to take on the Trico. It goes Leer because our defense is too high, and then Tackle does decent damage with a crit, so we do manage to get through. Now we've got to see about everything else. I think we'll get through the Puccinas perfectly fine. I'm going to pick this up on Devon just to see how we do against a couple Geodudes that don't have strong attacks, given that we're stuck with only the Tackle here. Remember that with the slow level up group, we'll be going into Roxanne at level 8, so we will not be getting access to the Supersonic until we've defeated at least one of her Geodudes. I think we might actually have to beat them both in order to actually get that move. Now, to be perfectly honest, I don't know if Tackle has enough PP to knock out all of Devon's Pokemon. I'm going to give Shellder an Oranberry so that we at least have some healing in battle, but this might not work out without struggle strats. Let's see. So attempt number 1 against Hiker Devon. I'm just going for Tackle here, and yeah, we are doing 1 damage per hit. Oh, the defense is too high and it's going defense curl against me. Don't get me wrong, I don't think we're going to take much damage, but this is kind of bad. We even take 3 damage from the first Tackle there from the Geodude, so I think we have to set up some Withdraw to reduce its damage, so that now we can sit here and just tackle like crazy and hopefully reach the point of actually knocking this one out. But we can see that this damage race is really bad for us, because at worst we're getting, I think, 2 damage per hit and we're only dealing 1 damage per hit. Let's try this again. I'll go all in on Withdraw just to double check, but I'm pretty sure at worst it does 2 damage to us. And since our Tackle is not going to do as much because the move is resisted, yeah, we basically just get wrecked here. Like, even with the Oranberry, Tackle's just not putting in enough work against this Geodude for us to have any shot of getting through here. So I think we have to go struggle strats. I think that's the only thing that can work, since struggle is neutrally effective. So back to Hiker Devon with the struggles, we can see that we did 3 damage there. So we're now just matching his damage output. We have to hope that the Oranberry carries us through and that the level up helps us in the middle of this fight. But we can see yet again that we're basically getting wrecked by not having a moveset. We've only got 11 HP as we go to the second Geodude. And while we appear to be doing 4 damage per hit now, if it starts tackling at any point, we're getting wrecked here. And we're all the way down to 1 HP. So we just knock ourselves out as we knock out Devon's Geodude, or not quite. It still had a sliver of health. Oh no. So yeah, it's on that basis that I think we can say that Shellder does not complete this section of the game. It's not going to get through even one of Roxanne's Geodudes because she uses the potions, and she's going to be using Rock Tomb, which is significantly stronger. The Rock Tomb and Rock Throw will do a lot more damage because it's a same type move on the Geodudes. I don't think we would get them down to doing little enough damage to even let Struggle get us through one Pokemon, much less the team. So Shellder's out of there, Cloyster passes. We have to eliminate another water type because of a terrible early game moveset. So with our First two Pokemon done, it's one pass, one fail, and it all comes down to the moveset. I think we could have predicted that, but hey, at least we can see that that is in fact how this works out. Now, however, I want to get into a member pick Pokemon. We have a brand new one that just came in, which is that Swellow that's hanging out over there. Current channel member and new patron Rob decided to save this Pokemon with an upgraded set of moves, so let's just see how it actually goes. Now, if you'll recall previously, Swellow came into the Roxanne fight, but got completely wrecked because its moveset is Peck, Growl, Focus Energy, and Quick Attack. So Rob has decided to give it an upgraded moveset to see if something can get us through here. Now instead, Rob has decided to save his Boostbird by giving it a moveset of Aerial Ace, Feather Dance, Hidden Power, Ground, and Facade. The question is, will this be enough to actually get us through the first gym? We're just gonna have to see if we can manage to get this to go. I'm gonna come in once normally, and then if this doesn't work, we're gonna give a status to see if Guts helps us get the victory. But let's see what the ranges currently are on the Geodudes. So Roxanne attempt number one, let's just see what our hidden power does. We can see that in general, this does about half damage to the opponent with the hidden power. In fact, we barely miss the range, but we don't get the 2-hit KO. We still knock out the first Geodude though. We get to level 11 right here. Second Geodude comes out. It might be worth going Feather Dance here and hoping that we can get a miss like that. That's perfect. Now let's see if we get the 2-hitter. We get another Rock Tomb miss. We finally get hit by Rock Tomb, but we do survive. The potion comes in and we do knock that Geodude out with a critical hit. We've made it to Nose Pass, where I'm immediately going to go Feather Dance. It's just not going to be enough there. Unfortunately, we do get knocked out. I think we're going to need some misses from the Geodudes on Rock Tomb in order to set up Feather Dance here. Let's try this again. So here, let's go Feather Dance on the first Geodude. When it goes for the Defense Curl, I think I Feather Dance again because it's just adding at least one more turn that we're going to have to hit Hidden Power. Here we get a crit though, so we just knock that Pokemon out. That's perfectly fine. Next Geodude, let's go back to Feather Dance to reduce its attack power. Now we can survive and heal with the Oran Berry. Let's go into our Hidden Power Ground from there. We do manage the 2-hit KO on that one, so we've got 25 HP going to the final Nose Pass. We Feather Dance, it hits Rock Tomb, and it hits Rock Tomb again, and we lose. Okay, let's see if Guts manages to get us through here. So here we're going to come in poisoned. You could get poisoned by a wild Wurmple and then just use potions to heal up. So this would technically be fine. Let's see how much damage we do on the Geodudes now. The hidden power does over half, but it's not like it's one-hit KOing here. So we would need more luck with the hidden powers here as we're also being affected by the poison. So we basically need misses or we need critical hits in order to get through. I'm interested to see what Facade does here, though it is a normal type move. It does about that much, so definitely weaker even with the poison on, but a Facade into a hidden power now seems to knock out the Geodudes, at least with the setup of Guts here. Still, this is going to be incredibly luck-based to actually get to go. Now, fortunately, Rob thought of another way that we might be able to get through, which is to add on the Choice Band to this Pokemon. So let's just see if this affects the ranges at all. This time, we are getting a better range on the first Geodude, so we can knock it out in 2 hits this time. Second Geodude comes out, we go for the hidden power, doing pretty decent damage. It hits the Rock Tomb, and we are on very low health here as she potions. Unfortunately, the poison takes me down. So I think that the poison is going to be the problem here. We still can manage to at least get through the Geodudes though. Maybe we just need a critical hit here or something. We get it there, so we do manage to get to the final Nose Pass, still on green health. Let's see what hidden power does. Oh, it does that much. Oh my goodness. Wait just a second. She's going to have to Oran Berry, and she went Harden once. We do not survive against the Rock Tomb. Otherwise, we might have had a chance there. Let's try this again. It looks like a critical hit might be enough for the Nose Pass, though. And so if we can just crit there once, we might actually get the victory. Or if she gets a Rock Tomb miss, we could get through. So let's just test this and see. Here we get a critical hit on the first Geodude, so we knock it out in a single hit. Get to the second Geodude, where we just simply one-shot thanks to the Choice Band. Now let's see what we do against this final Nose Pass. With this level of HP, it misses Rock Tomb, it has to go for the Oran Berry, and now Hidden Power gets the job done. So Guts, Choice Band, Hidden Power, Ground, Swellow does in fact manage to win against Roxanne. And now this Pokemon's got Hidden Power Ground for Watson. It's got the Aerial Ace for Brawly. We've got the Choice Band on. We can always go Guts strats. Swellow might be OP now. Choice Band is kind of OP here as a held item. And yeah, it turns out to work. As long as you throw the Choice Band on there, you are actually able to get through. No Choice Band, it doesn't quite seem to work. You need a lot of luck with those Rock Tomb misses, etc. On this setting, with the Choice Band, I can tell you the first Geodude only goes down to a crit. The second Geodude seems to be a one-hitter at that point, though. And then Nose Pass, crit it or get a Rock Tomb miss or something like that. Maybe she goes hard in turn one and gives you a chance to get through. So yeah, Swellow, actually kind of incredible. So let me give a massive thank you to Rob for supporting 2 Pokemon in the challenge now, because he's going to get a Dragonite later on. He reserved that way before with his YouTube channel membership, but now joins the Patreon, gets a double up. I can't thank you enough. The support really means a lot to me, especially with the new channel getting off the ground. We just passed 800 subs, which is exciting. And it's just great to see how many people are supporting what I do and want to see interesting Pokemon run through this challenge. Swellow might just be OP for quite a while, though. We're going to have to see how this Pokemon does. Choice Band strats could be OP on the channel members. So just like that, we'll pop Swellow up there with the other completed channel member picks in that section. And that brings 23 Pokemon getting through thanks to the support of the channel members. If you'd like to save your own Pokemon, whether it's in the fail column right now, or if there's one that you are pretty sure is going to fail and you'd love to save that's not in that current upcoming member picks section, then feel free to jump in on the membership down below. It supports me a lot in what I do. I am a one-man team making all of this content for you guys. So the support is kind of massive. It allows me to make more content and spend more time. And eventually, someday, when I can fully support myself off of what I do, I will be able to hire other people like editors and thumbnail artists and things like that. That is the long-term goal. We'll see if we get there. But for now, let's move on with today's challengers. I'm going to get to my Gastly line, starting with the Gengar. I'm not sure how it's going to do because of the low physical defense and the fact that Rock Tombs are going to be coming in left and right, but we do know that we will at least get to Roxanne with this Pokemon, so let's just see how it goes. Now, Gengar comes in with the ability Levitate, and it has 110 base speed and 130 base special attack. The defense is only 60 base, as is the HP, and I'm pretty sure we're going to come in with our only damage dealing move being Lick. At least if I'm going based off of Gen 2 movesets, that's probably what we've got. So we're probably going to have to stall out a bunch in the early game and get to struggle in order to take down things like the Poochyenas. I'm not sure if we can knock out Zigzagoon with this Pokemon, which is kind of ridiculous. It won't be able to damage me, but I'm just going to have to use up a ton of PP there in order to get to struggle, and it might struggle before I struggle. That's the whole point. We'll just have to see how this actually works out, but this could be at least tedious because we won't get any good damage dealing moves. That's my prediction right now, at least. Still, we won't know until we get into it, so let's see the starting moveset. So here against the Zigzagoon, we can see we start with Hypnosis, Lick, and Spite. Yeah, so we can't damage this Pokemon. I'm going to put it to sleep and then just sit here and spam Lick for a long time. Since we know that it can't damage the opponent, we just got to use up the PP. And this isn't going to be a great move against the Poochyenas either, so yeah. I don't think this is going to be great. Fortunately, the Zigzagoon does have a lot of PPs, so I think we will be able to get to struggle before it uses up all of its attacking moves. I'm going to hold off on Spite until basically I've used up all the Licks because I want to keep it with having a lot of PP so that I can hopefully get to struggle myself. I don't want it to struggle against me. I want to struggle against it, since I think it will deal decent damage to us if it does struggle, like at least 2 damage per hit. The Hypnosis should allow us to spam a little bit here though and eventually get through something. So let's just see. So here we've used up all the Lick and all of the Spite. Now we just have to slam Hypnosis until we're out of PP in this move, and then we'll be on to struggle. And fortunately, Zigzagoon does have PP remaining, so as we struggle, we will win this fight. It's just one of the most tedious fights in the game, but I guess Gengar and the rest of this line will be able to get through just on the basis of being able to spam all of their PP with the opponent asleep. Zigzagoon just has too much PP itself in order to get through to struggle against us, so hey, we'll take that. So here, let's go into the May fight. I've decided to go up against the Mudkip since when she evolves, she'll have super effective moves against us. Here, let's go for the Hypnosis. The Mudkip is only going to use Growl here because of the fact that it can't hit with Tackle, but I don't want it to lower my attack too much, but I guess it doesn't really matter. We can just sit here and spam Lick until we win. Licking a Mudkip turns out to be an effective way to get through May. Anyway, with that done, now we have to take on some Poochinas that can't damage us, but we can only lick them, so this is going to be exciting. We're just going to have to see if we do enough damage. I think I have to heal just on the basis of needing all of the PP in the lick as I go into these fights. And sure enough, on the Poochina, we're doing like 2 damage per hit, but fortunately, it can't actually damage me with Tackle, so we will win this fight eventually. And Lick does have enough PP to get us through this one, so we're going to be pretty fine, I think, until we get to Hiker Devon. We're also in the medium slow level up group, so we will get to level 10 here. The question is, do we manage to beat Roxanne when her Pokemon are super defensive? It's not like Lick's going to be doing a ton of damage there. We're just going to have to see. Now, we do manage to get through Hiker Devon, but no new moves come in at this point. Our next level up move is Mean Look at level 13, which will only come in after we defeat the Nose Pass. We're going to have to hope that we can find a way through Roxanne's team before that. And the fact that only Rock-type moves can affect us might be really bad here, because it might result in her only using the Rock-type moves, especially because our speed stat is massive right now. We would have to take a couple Rock Tombs just to be slower than the Nose Pass. I'm going to give the Oranberry, but I'm honestly not confident that this is going to work out. Let's see though. So Roxanne attempt number 1, I'm going to Hypnosis on the first Geodude to put it to sleep. We want to avoid getting hit as much as possible. Lick does 3 damage here. It wakes up in Rock Tombs, doing 12 damage to me. I'm going to have to put this one back to sleep. We really need long sleeps here. Unfortunately, she's just waking up every time we put her to sleep. So we can put this one back to sleep again, but if it doesn't stay asleep a lot of turns, we're getting kind of wrecked here. Even 3 Rock Tombs still has us faster than the first Geodude, and when it refuses to sleep more than a single turn, we're just getting completely destroyed there. This time we at least get her to use the potion on the first Geodude, and she goes Defense Curl when she wakes up, so we can put it back to sleep with Hypnosis. And then back to our Lick spam. We finally get Rock Tombed right there, but once again, I'm going to put this one to sleep. I don't think we can Spite while it's asleep, so unfortunately, we get another Rock Tomb. We can put this one back to sleep again, but we see we're already on fairly low health. She goes Defense Curl there, but then Rock Tomb ends me. There's just not much we can do in that situation. And it's just worth noting that because Lick is doing 3 damage per hit, there's no way that we would keep it asleep long enough to just knock it out with our Licks, like in a single sleep or something. So this is really kind of sus. I guess I should have an Oranberry on here. I thought I had it on, but let's make sure that we do so that we at least have the extra healing as we go through this, because we're going to need a lot of luck on this. This time it wakes up once, but it misses Rock Tomb, so we get to put it back to sleep. Now she finally Rock Tombs us, and she's in potion range, so that gives us a couple turns to put it back to sleep when we miss, but we're still down to 24 HP right now. One more hit will put us into the Oranberry range, and 2 more hits will simply knock us out. And once we start missing with Hypnosis, that's game over. We simply lose. So I've been here for a hot minute and that does not seem to work. So the only other thing that I can think of is try to go struggle with like one hypnosis on, just to see if somehow, some way we can keep it asleep enough turns to struggle down the first Geodude. And then maybe we get crazy luck on the second Geodude, but I don't think we're going to do that much damage. We might do like 5 damage per hit now. Let's just see. So here, we're going to just reset for a run where we get the Geodude to sleep. Let's go for struggle. And yeah, that does 5 damage per hit. Called it. Now it wakes up and goes defense curl against me, which is terrible. And we can't put this one back to sleep. And so we're simply not going to get through this way either. But the big point here is that the reason the Geodude is borderline impossible is because of the healing. If she didn't heal, I think we'd be able to eventually luck through here. This time we got like 5 Rock Tomb misses and we still lose to the first Geodude. We haven't even come close to seeing the second Geodude or the Nose Pass. It's on that basis that I think we can eliminate the entire Gastly line. They just don't get enough damage output here to actually get through. If this were like Gen 1, where they got access to Nightshade at the start of the game and Confuse Ray, we might be able to get something to go. We saw it with that Sableye earlier on with the Nightshade strats, because Nightshade here would be like 4-hit KOing at worst, and you add on a Confuse Ray, you could get the luck for them to hit themselves, etc. But a Gen 3 Gengar, Haunter, Gastly, at least as far as I can tell, simply doesn't get through this. So with that, I think we have to throw our entire Gastly line straight into the fail column. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure that they could learn moves that would get them through this section of the game. They just don't have them at this point. So Gastly and its evolved forms just get completely wrecked here. We're now up to 146 Pokemon failing on this setting, when you include the 23 member picks that have been saved and the 123 that are in the fail column. That is insane to me, since only 67 Pokemon have legitimately gotten through Roxanne. Now we've got to see if we can get through her with some of our own rocks. We're going to go for the Onix, but we'll also go for the Steel type Steelix here, just to see how they go. I'm going to start off with Steelix for its higher stats, and it also resists the rock type, so it's going to have a pretty decent chance to get through here, but let's just see how it actually goes. Now, Steelix comes in with a massive 200 base defense and really low speed, so it shouldn't have as many issues with rock tubes here. Plus, its resistance to rock type moves should make this one really, really strong. It just depends on the starting moveset. I don't expect to have a steel type move here like Iron Tail or something, obviously. I think we're just getting Tackle and maybe Screech, but that might actually be enough just because of our high defenses. We may be able to just Screech and keep the defense of the Geodudes lower, since they can only raise their defense by 1 stage with Defense Curl, where we can lower their defense by 2 stages with the Screech. Screech is kind of inaccurate, but if we get the luck, we might just be able to deal significant damage there and then get through with tackles. We'll just have to see. Our attack stat isn't great, it's only 85, but at least it's decent as we go through this one. Now we're going to pick up Steelix inside of the Torchic Ball. I decided on this because our 2 typings will have weaknesses against the Mudkip line later on, so I think this is the way to go. And sure enough, we start with Tackle and Screech, so we're just going to take down the Zigzagoon nice and easy. It healed with a berry apparently, but still just a 3-hitter to get through that one. And now I don't expect to have any real issues because of our defensiveness. Like, opponents using Tackle aren't going to do enough damage to this Pokemon. So at this point, the real question is just how do we do against Roxanne herself, but we'll take on the rival just to see how this one goes first. Here against May's Mudkip, of course, she only knows Tackle at this point. I'm just going to Screech and then go for the Tackle myself. It looks like a 3-hitter at this point. We even get Growled, but that doesn't really change the ranges at all. We simply get the victory on the first attempt. The Poochyenas should be nothing for us, and I think we're going to get through Hiker Devon too, but we should check the ranges there against his Geodudes. Since we'll be in the medium-fast level-up group, we'll be a little bit lower leveled than what we were dealing with previously with the Gengar, so maybe this doesn't doesn't work out just because we're at a low level. Still, I think we'll get through Devon just fine. Let's just see if we can get the defense of the Geodudes down enough to actually deal significant damage. Now, I should also note that we are going to get Bind at level 9, so we will have another move that can put chip damage on our opponents if we just speed Hiker Devon here and get through like one of the Geodudes. So let's just see how this goes. First up on Hiker Devon, let's go for Screech on the first Geodude. He's going to Fence Curl, that's fine. I'm going to Screech him again. He goes Tackle and does 1 damage. Our Tackle is doing like 3 damage here. So this is definitely the way to go. Just using Screech so that we can win the damage race on this Pokemon. The real question when we get to Roxanne is going to be her healing in battle, which could affect things quite a bit. So I'm going to go pretty hard on Screech, trying to get the defenses of my opponents down, and then go into the tackles, dealing significantly more damage at this point. So sure enough, we're at level 8. We're ready to go into the Roxanne fight. If we just knock out one Geodude, we'll get the Bind for chip damage. I'm not sure this is going to be pretty, but I think it might just be possible. Let's find out. Now, I definitely think an Oranberry is required here in order to survive more turns. Since this is going to be a war of attrition, that extra 10 HP could be massive here. So Roxanne attempt number 1, I'm going to lead off with Screech on the Geodude. It goes Rock Tomb turn 1 and does 1 damage. That's perfect. That's what I want to see. We're now in a speed tie after the first Rock Tomb, but I'm going really hard on the Screeches here. I want its defense down as low as possible. We see we did 10 damage there with a Tackle. That might have been a crit. Still, we're definitely dealing more damage to the Geodude than it's dealing to me. As she starts to Defense Curl there, we're gonna have to go for Screech again at this point. If she wants to sit here and go for Tackle, that's just gonna give us turns to set up more Screech, and eventually we will get through here. We use the Oranberry right there, but the first Geodude does go down and we get to level up and learn Bind. So now I think the strategy is to Bind first for the chip damage, then go Screech a bunch of times on this second Geodude. We're already slow, so we don't really have to worry too much about the Rock Tombs, and now we're just going for the Tackles, just trying to deal damage, and we'll try to keep the Bind on for the extra chip damage as well. We force the second potion, still slightly above half health. She's going for a bunch of defense curls, but I think we're going to be able to get this one to go. And sure enough, we do take down the second Geodude as we get to the Nose Pass. Strategy here, I think, is pretty simple. We're going to Screech until we get its defense down as low as possible. Yes, it can harden, but we'll just go for the binds here. Go back to Screech when it hardens more, and now go to Tackle. And we're just hoping that we deal enough damage here. We're not doing great, but we do force the Oranberry there. We're down to 11 HP at this point, and we're running out of Tackle PP. We get a critical hit from the Nose Pass, but still, it's only doing 1 damage per hit. And maybe with our Bind, we can simply find a way to get through. Unfortunately, now we're out of PP in Tackle. Still, we get down to 1 HP, but we do manage to beat the Nose Pass on the first attempt. And we get to level 11 right here. So Steelix just barely manages the victory, but it does work with this Pokemon getting through Roxanne on minimum battles. That is nuts. Now, I expect this one to be terrible against the next rival. That's going to be the real major wall for this one because, I mean, what are we really going to do there? We will get Rock Throw at level 13. I think that might be our only level up move before that, though. Cut is technically available. We could have thrown on Cut to have more PP here, but I'm kind of glad we avoided that. And Rock Tomb, I guess. We go Rock Tomb and pray at that point that our defenses are enough. But I mean, we're going to be getting some mud shots. We're going to be getting some like absorbs from the Lombre. I'm not sure how it's going to go. We're just going to have to see. Still, at least Steelix gets through legitimately. Now we've got to check in on Onix. And that range just now makes me really nervous for Onix because it has a much lower attack stat. It might not be getting through here. Now, Onix does come in with the still pretty good 160 base defense. The problem is it has higher speed and lower attack and lower HP, so it may not be able to survive enough to actually use that reasonably high base defense. We saw that we needed every single HP with that previous attempt on Steelix. It's not like that was perfectly optimized. Maybe we could have gotten some misses or more crits or something in order to get through, but we saw it was close. And that makes me think that this one's going to be bad. Still, we won't know till we test it, so let's find out. But we might end up having to go for like a Screech into Struggle strat in order to get through, and then maybe some sort of like bind nonsense. I'm not sure. I've got it in the Mudkip ball. We could have put it in the Torchic ball as well, but either way, it does manage to get through Rival 1. For now, I think going against Trico's fine. We may end up going up against the Marshtomp rival for the second rival fight, but in this section, it's not going to make a difference. They're both just using normal type moves. Technically, Trico does have Leer, making it slightly better here against our Onix, but I think we win no matter what. Let's just see how this goes. And here, yeah, we can tackle. We see that our tackle did 5 damage, so this is a 4-hit KO rather than the 3-hitter that we got with our evolved form Steelix. And yeah, now we're just gonna have to see how we go through this section of the game, still with massive defense. So of course the Poochyenas are a complete non-factor. The question is how we do when we get to Roxanne herself. Now it's worth noting that I have not been able to get Onix through on minimum battles in any generation before this. It lost to Brock in Gen 1, and it lost to Falkner in Gen 2 because it didn't get access to a rock-type move in time for Falkner, and it just got mud-slapped to oblivion, and that leads to it losing to a flying-type gym leader. So if we get through Roxanne with this Onix, it will actually be the first time, the first generation in which an Onix can actually beat the first gym leader on minimum battles. Don't get me wrong, if you gave this Pokemon Bind in Gen 1, it would beat Brock because it would be able to just cheese the bind spam in that generation, but it just doesn't get enough damage output to actually get through Brock reliably in the first generation, which is nuts to me. Now, fortunately, here we don't have to worry about randos, and we do get more rando fights. When you go into the Brock fight in Gen 1, you're only at level 6, and his Onix is at least level 12 in yellow and level 14 if you're up against it in Pokemon Red and Blue, which is the other reason this Pokemon fails. But here, I don't know that this is going to make any difference. Now, also, unlike our evolved form Steelix, we don't learn Cut, so we don't have any way to upgrade our damage dealing move in order to deal more damage. Like Steelix, if it had failed there with the tackle, it could have gone Cut, since that would be a significant increase in damage over the tackle. You know, Screech, Cut, you would, I think, eventually manage to get through. Onix doesn't even have that option to work with. So let's see how we do against Hiker Devin here, where he's going to have an easier time with Onix because of the fact that we don't have as much attack power, and we're going to have to Screech a lot of times to get the defense of the Geodude down, and now we're doing 3 damage. Yeah, still 3 damage is better than 1 damage, so we'll take it. We'll just try to keep his defense fairly low as we whittle this one down, and if he just wants to tackle, that's perfectly fine. We will win that damage race. Out comes the second Geodude. Once again, we've got to Screech a lot here as he just tackles me. That's perfectly fine. And now let's go for our own tackles with 6 stages of defense drops. Now he's defense curling, but it's too little too late. We will win this fight against Hiker Devin. We're ready to move on at level 8 to Roxanne. Once again, we've got to defeat the first Geodude to get Bind so that we at least can put some chip damage on opponents as we're going through, but this may not work. The 10 HP from the Oranberry will be huge though, yet again, because I think that's the only way we can last enough turns. If you could use potions in battle, if I allowed normal items in battle, then this would actually be pretty trivial. You would just slam potions over and over and over again every time you get to low health and just keep the defense of every Pokemon in front of you as low as possible with Screech. I think you'd eventually get through, but a itemless solo challenge, though we do use held items, is going to be much tougher here. Let's see how this actually works out. Roxanne attempt number 1. We're going Screech on the Geodude right off the bat. It misses a Rock Tomb. That's nice. We Screech again. Now it hits Rock Tomb. It's going to go for Rock Tomb twice here. And we see we took 4 damage from the Rock Tomb there. 3 damage on the next Rock Tomb. But that means that unlike Steelix, we're not taking 1 damage per hit here. And we're dealing less damage. So this is terrible. This is absolutely nuts. We already had to use our Oranberry and we didn't even get her into potion range yet. So the Rock Ground type is turning out to be significantly worse than the Steel Ground type here due to the higher damage that we get from the Rock Tombs. On that basis, I don't think that this even works. Because once she starts setting up Defense Curl, I mean, we're doing 3 damage per hit here. But yeah, this is really not looking good. And it's not like we would be doing that much more damage if we went to the Struggle on this Pokemon. Now, I guess we can go for a lot of Screeches to also keep this one using Defense Curl as many turns as possible. But we're just going to eventually get knocked out by its Rock Tombs without taking out the first Geodude. So yeah, that does not work. I think we have to throw Onix into the Struggle column. I'm going to test this one time where we come into the fight with just 3 PP and Screech and no tackles. Essentially, we're going to try to lower the defense of the Geodude as much as possible and then go to Struggle and see if we can get through somehow there. I'm not confident it's going to work. So here we Screech turn 1, Screech turn 2, we get a Rock Throw. So when it does finally Rock Tomb, we're below half health, but we did lower its defense a lot. We see that we did 8 damage there with our first Struggle. It did set up 1 Defense Curl before that, but we will at least get much better ranges here. The problem is the recoil damage. And when we do level up, we're going to get Bind. So we can't just stick with Struggle the rest of the way. We're all the way down to 1 HP as we get to the next Pokemon though. The level up gets us 3 HP. But now we're stuck with Bind the rest of the way, and this one wants to go Rock Tomb because we're faster. So Struggle strats do not work with this Pokemon. So on that basis, I think we can just eliminate Onix. I don't think it has the ability to actually get through here. So unfortunately, we have to throw Onix into that fail column, bringing our total down there to 124 and 147 failed Pokemon overall. That is insanity. Steelix gets through, but not the Onix. Anyway, with that done, now we have to get to a bunch of unknowns. Literally, we don't know if these are going to get through or not, but we're going to test it and see how Unknown does here with a bunch of different typings just to see if we can somehow manage this Pokemon to work out. Now, of course, Unown has really balanced stats overall. It has 72 base in both special attack and attack. So in neutral situations without a same type attack bonus, it's going to deal effectively the same amount of damage with either move, just depending on the opponent's defensive stats. Everything else is 48, so just kind of meh across the board. But let's see how Unown does here with this setup. Now, for this, I want to run a few different tests, and I'm going to use Cypokes.com's little table here for the different IVs for different hidden power types. Now, the point is that we don't actually need to run every single Unown. What we do need to do is test each fight multiple times with some different settings, where we're going to look first at an Unown that has the worst possible typing for the opponent. In the early game, that's going to basically be Hidden Power Ghost, because we're not going to be able to damage the Zigzagoon. But if we can manage to knock out Zigzagoon with a Hidden Power Ghost legitimately by getting to Struggle, that would mean that any Unown can beat the first Zigzagoon. So that's what we're going to test first, and that appears to require us to set our attack and our special defense IV to be 30. So I'm going to lock those in, and let's see if this actually works for getting our hidden power typing set. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we can change our IVs before the first Zigzagoon, so unfortunately we did knock that one out. The main point here though is that hidden power only has 15 PP, so you would always be able to eventually reach Struggle against that Zigzagoon and knock it out that way before you would actually have to deal with anything else. Now let me see if I can set my IVs properly for everything else, since we do actually have our Unown outside of battle at this point. The problem is probably that it figures out what the hidden power typing is at the start of the battle, and it can't be reset in the middle of battle. That's what I found in Gen 2 as well. So let's just see if this works now. Now I've decided to go up against the Trico line, basically on the basis that she'll get some super effective moves against us in the next fight. Though people have argued for the Mudkip line, I don't think it's going to make a big difference here, but we do need a hidden power typing that is resisted by grass. And I think for that, we may as well just go for our own hidden power grass. It looks like we need to set our HP IV and our special attack IV to 30. So let's just see if this gets us a nice resisted hidden power as I expect it to, but it may or may not work. We're just going to have to see. So May attempt number 1 here. She goes Leer, we go hidden power, and yes, we do have the resisted hidden power here. Perfect. So we can see that our hidden power did 3 damage. The question is, will we be able to outdamage the Trico with this setup? It's got a couple of Leers. We're down to low health. We might need a critical hit to actually win here. Let's try this one again. So we are kind of affected by the fact that we're slower than Trico, which is why Trico's a little bit harder here in the early game. And without her going for a couple Leers, it looks like we might just be getting wrecked. Even then, we might need a critical hit to actually win here though. So this is really not looking good for our Unown, at least in the case of having a resisted hidden power typing. So on that basis, I think we can already say that any Unown that has a resisted typing against May will simply not be able to progress. You would either have hidden power grass being resisted by the Trico, hidden power fire being resisted by the Torchic, or hidden power water being resisted by the Mudkip. But what we can say for sure is that you would still either have access to hidden power grass or hidden power water for the rock types that are coming up later. So there would be some hidden powers that could get you through here. But let's just test a neutral hidden power. I'm going to go hidden power rock right here because of the fact that it is at least requiring a lot of our stats to be lower. So we'll set our defense, our speed, and our special defense to all be 30 here. This should get us a neutrally effective hidden power, which will effectively be double the power of the one that we were just using. And that should allow us to get through this fight pretty easily. Sure enough, now we're doing significant damage and we managed to beat the Trico on the first attempt. Of course, if we had a super effective hidden power, it would be even better here. Sorry, I accidentally reset there, but yeah, we can definitely get that one to go 100% of the time with a neutral hidden power. So now the question is, how do we do as we progress in this one? The Ponytas would at least be damaged by a resisted hidden power, and I think they're weak enough that we could still manage to get through there. Since hidden power ghost is technically still on the table, I'm going to try that as my strategy going forward against the 2 Ponytas, just to see if the resisted type does manage to get through. Obviously, if you had something like hidden power water, hidden power grass here, it would just be neutrally effective against these Pokemon and be the best for later on in this section of the game. Not talking about later sections when we get to like Watson, etc., but definitely for now, we can basically say that they would be fine. So let's just see, against the first Ponyta here for youngster Calvin, when we use a resisted hidden power, we can see that we did about 5 damage there. So this is a 4-hit KO, and we even get a crit, so we win on the first attempt. So yeah, we're getting through at least youngster Calvin with the resisted typing. But with that, we can basically say that any hidden power type would get through at least the first youngster. So as long as you have a neutral power against the first rival and any hidden power against youngster Calvin, you get through. Let's see if that holds up against the Team Aqua Grunt coming up here. Of course, at this point, we have access to Oran Berries, so we can be more survivable as well. So we can probably get through this one. Let's just see. So Team Aqua Grunt attempt number 1 here. Hidden power, when it's resisted, does about 3 damage, making this a 9-hit KO. He goes for the sand attack as well. Tackle's dealing pretty decent damage to us, so we might actually get wrecked here, at least on the first attempt. Let's give that Oran Berry just so that we have the passive healing and see if that makes a difference here. Here we can see he does like 5 damage with his first tackle, so we're definitely taking a lot of damage here, and we're going to need some luck through these sand attacks. He's howling a lot of times as well, so we do ultimately manage to knock him out with the resisted hidden power typing. So that tells us that if you just have a neutral typing against the first rival, you're good to go at least until Hiker Devon. This is the point where we might actually need a super effective typing though, or at least a good neutral special typing to get through. The physical neutral types might not be enough, and there aren't really physical neutral types here against his Pokemon other than Ghost. But I'm going to go into that fight first with a Hidden Power Rock, since at best he's going to 2x resist a move. Hidden Power Rock is physical, so it will do less damage against the Geodudes. Let's just see how this works out. So here against Hiker Devon, we go Hidden Power Rock and we see it does very little damage, 2 damage per hit here. And that means that we're going to use up all of our PP as we go through this 1-for-1 because we're not going to deal enough damage, but we also get wrecked by the tackles. Maybe the Oranberry makes a difference. Let's test this and see. So back again with the Hidden Power Rock, but with the Oranberry, if he goes for Defense Curl enough times, we might still fail just on the basis that he's going to have higher defense against our hidden power. It's not a special typing. So yeah, we get wrecked there when we come in with Hidden Power Rock. So a resisted typing does not work. Let's go for a neutral typing, which again would be our Hidden Power Ghost here. Ghost would get to this point, so maybe it's enough to actually get through. Now I'm going for Ghost first here because it is physical, so it will use his higher defense stat. So here we see that the Hidden Power Ghost did about 5 damage there on the first hit, and if he doesn't go for Defense Curl, we should do pretty significant damage here. We drop down our damage a little bit when he goes for the Defense Curl, now only doing 4 damage, but we do manage to get through the first Geodude, get to the second one at level 8. Here we're doing about 6 damage, so it's going to be like a 4-hit KO before he Defense Curls. Now he's Defense Curling, so our damage is going down, but we get a critical hit. So we do manage to get through. It turns out that you can beat Hiker Devon with a neutrally effective hidden power, even if it's a physical one, on minimum battles. So what does that tell us now? That tells us that certainly the special hidden powers would get through there. They would just do significantly more damage against the Geodudes because the Geodudes have a lower special defense than defense. But it does tell us that any type that is resisted by the Geodude or resisted by the first rival is out of there. So you're either going to eliminate Hidden Power Water, Hidden Power Grass, or Hidden Power Fire from the first rival fight. And then when you get to Devon, you're going to need a neutrally effective physical type or maybe a special type. I should have tested Hidden Power Fire there just to see. Unfortunately, we've gone too far, but it's probably not going to be great. It probably does better damage though. You might be able to get through with the resisted special hidden power, but now it's time to see against Roxanne, and we're going to start with the fact that we already kind of know a resisted physical type is not going to get through here. She has too much healing, but let's try a resisted special type like Hidden Power Fire just to see how much damage it does against the Geodudes here. So Hidden Power Fire requires a lower attack, speed, and special attack. So let's just see what that does for us here. Of course, I'm going in with the Oranberry, and we're just going to see how much damage we do. If this doesn't work, then we'll switch to a neutral physical hidden power, then a neutral special hidden power, then a super effective physical hidden power, then a super effective special hidden power. And if all of those don't work, then we'll go for the 4x super effective on the Geodudes type of hidden power here. So let's just see how this actually works out. So first attempt against Roxanne, here we have the Hidden Power Fire. We see it does like 5 damage. It is special, so it is using the lower special defense stat of this Pokemon, which is significant. 30 defense versus 13 special defense, but it's still just not going to deal enough damage. We get 1 Rock Tomb and have to use our Oranberry. Now it's going Defense Curl. Fortunately, that doesn't matter since we're using a special typing, but we can just see this would take a massive number of turns, and when it does start attacking, we get completely wrecked. So that does not work. Let's instead go for a neutrally effective physical typing. We'll go back to our Hidden Power Ghost. So here with Hidden Power Ghost, which we just used to beat Hiker Devon, we see that we still only do 5 damage because the Geodudes have too much defense. So a resisted hidden power with the special types of the game would be effectively the same as using a neutral hidden power with a physical type. It's still not going to get you through Roxanne here. So now let's see a neutral hidden power that is a special type. And for that, I'm going to go hidden power dragon, since that would have been neutral against literally everything up to this point. We know it would actually get us through to this point in the game. So let's just see how much extra damage that does. And for hidden power dragon, we just set our HP IV to 30 and everything else to 31, and we will get that typing. So here, hidden power dragon does 12 damage to the Geodude. So this would be a 3-hit KO. It defense curls after doing 1 rock tomb, and we're actually going to get through the first Geodude this time, getting to level 9. That brings out the second Geodude, where we get rock tombed down because we were simply too slow and we didn't have enough HP remaining. We might need a rock tomb miss here in order to get through. The rock tomb is still dealing massive damage to us is the problem, and without a miss, we're just not going to have enough HP on the remaining Pokemon. This time we get defense curl turn 1 from the Geodude though. That's kind of nice. Unfortunately, she goes into critical hits after that. This time we get to the second Geodude, at least still on green health. Unfortunately, just 1 rock tomb has us in a 1-hit KO range from there because we don't have enough defense. So that tells us that the neutrally effective special typing is not going to work here. Now, I will look at hidden power psychic just on the basis that we could definitely struggle down the Puccinas. And here, hidden power psychic is neutrally effective, stab, and is special. So it should do more damage than any other special hidden power typing that is neutral against Roxanne. Let's just see how this one goes. So this would definitely be a struggle Pokemon. So hidden power psychic requires a 30 IV in HP and speed. Let's see how this goes. So here against the first Geodude, hidden power psychic, critical hit one-shots. So we can get a 1-hit KO range there. Second Geodude comes out. We get another crit that does not 1-hit KO, but we are going to take this one down pretty easily from the looks of things. We forced 2 potions here and knocked that one out. So we get to Nose Pass for the first time as we get to level 10. We've still got the Oranberry on. We get Rock Tombed there though, and unfortunately, we had too much HP. We didn't get the chance to use our Oranberry. Let's try this one again. So round 2, we can see this is a 2-hit KO. We get a Rock Tomb miss, but then a Rock Tomb hit from the Geodude. That forces the Oranberry, but she potions, so we're going to be able to knock this one out. She even defense curls there. Second Geodude, we get Rock Throw, and unfortunately, we get wrecked. Turns out when we do not get crits here, we're still not getting to the Nose Pass without a lot of luck. We do manage to get to Nose Pass a couple attempts later, but we're slower and we don't have enough HP, so it's just going to Rock Tomb to knock me down. I want to see one time if we can at least hit on the Nose Pass just to see what kind of range we get there, given that this is effectively the strongest neutral hidden power we could have at that point. But I've been here for a hot minute and we really just don't get to the Nose Pass. I mean, with enough Rock Tomb misses, sure, eventually, but it's not consistent to even get to that last Pokemon with the Oranberry on with this hidden power psychic. So now I think we have to go super effective types. We're going to start with a super effective hidden power Steel, since it will be super effective against all 3 of Roxanne's Pokemon. Let's see if that can get us through or not. Then we'll test hidden power Ice, since it's going to be super effective against 2 of the Pokemon, but special. And then finally, we'll go for hidden power Water or hidden power Grass to see the maximum output. But this is starting to look like there aren't many hidden powers that can actually get unknown through Roxanne. So it's gonna actually just be a couple unknowns at best that can actually move on in the game. Now, hidden power Steel seems to be 31 IVs in everything except special defense, where we have a 30 IV. So let's just see if that gives us any chances here against these Geodudes. So here with our hidden power Steel, we don't do that much because the Geodude has high defense. It turns out to be a 3-hit KO here, and so that's less damage than we were dealing previously with the Hidden Power Psychic. I basically can say that that doesn't work. Hidden Power Psychic is better because it's 1.5 times stronger and going up against the Geodude's 13 special defense rather than the Geodude's 30 defense. So basically we can say that a super effective hidden power that is physical does not get through Roxanne. It is worse than having the hidden power psychic on the Unown here. Let's try instead hidden power ice just to see. Hidden power ice requires 31 in everything except speed from the looks of things. And at 2 times power, it should be stronger than the hidden power psychic that we were running previously. So let's just see how this goes. So here against the Geodude, at least, we'll go Hidden Power Ice. This is a 2-hitter. It goes for the Rock Tomb and misses, so we do manage to get through and get to level 9. That brings out the second Geodude. We're still faster after 1 Rock Tomb. She's gonna Potion, and we can simply knock this one out. We have 27 HP as we go to Nose Pass. It goes hard in turn 1, which doesn't matter, but the Hidden Power Ice did 6 damage here because it's only neutrally effective here against the Nose Pass. So yeah, definitely Hidden Power Ice is not enough to at least reliably get through this. I'm going to test this a couple times, but I mean, we got a Rock Tomb miss. That was pretty lucky. I just don't think that we're going to survive enough hits usually to get through this without crits. The Geodudes can randomly go for Defense Curl though, so that does give this one better chances. And when she potions, we basically will just be guaranteed to knock the Geodude out. And the second Geodude at least is still slower after it Rock Tombs once. So even though we do have to use the Oran Berry there, we can get to Nose Pass. And maybe this requires crits? We force the Oran Berry. She's tackling against me, but now she Rock Tombs. We got her on fairly low health, so 1 crit against the Nose Pass might have been enough there, but it does also require getting a miss from the Geodudes. This time we're to the Nose Pass, but on lower health, and here I think it simply knocks me out too easily. If we're down around like 12 HP, it looks like Rock Tomb can just end us there. So it's certainly closer, but it's looking like not having a super effective typing for the final Nose Pass is a bit of an issue here. And since we know that physical hidden powers simply don't work, that really leaves us only with hidden power water or hidden power grass. This time we do still have the Oran Berry on as we get to the Nose Pass though. It's going hard in a bunch of times, but now it gets a critical hit tackle. It ends me. So we didn't even get to use the Oran Berry there. Are you kidding me? Still, we get another chance at Nose Pass. This time we got a critical hit against it as well. We force the Oran Berry. She Rock Tombs though, and we are done. So it's pretty clear. I've been to that Nose Pass multiple times. We had one that got kind of close, but at the very least, Hidden Power Ice is going to be incredibly luck-based here, and you couldn't use Hidden Power Ice if you were up against the Mudkip line. So we can effectively eliminate Hidden Power Ice as an option here because it would not actually be good to get through all the way through this section. Let's try the Hidden Power Grass now. Since technically, if we were up against the Mudkip line, we could use Hidden Power Grass to knock that one out fairly easily. Hidden Power Grass would be fine for the Poochyinas. Hidden Power Grass would destroy Hygre Devon and would be 4 times super effective against the Geodudes plus super effective against Nose Pass. And I'm choosing that because we need a hidden power typing that is super effective against Nose Pass. And of the remaining hidden powers, the only ones that are super effective against the Geodudes, of course, are Fighting, Ground, Steel, Water, Ice, and Grass. But we've already eliminated Hidden Power Ice, Hidden Power Steel, Hidden Power Fighting, and Hidden Power Ground because either they're physical or they just don't do enough against Nose Pass. So you're actually stuck with only Hidden Power Water or Hidden Power Grass here, and you would have to have whichever one would be better against the first rival. One way or the other, you would either have Hidden Power Grass that would be decent or Hidden Power Water, which would be decent depending on the rival that you went up against. Now, the problem is that because we're never going up against the Torchic with this Pokemon, I don't think, we're a Psychic type, we would either have to go up against the Trico line or against the Mudkip line. And Mudkip and Trico resist Hidden Power Water. So you couldn't use Hidden Power Water here because we saw resisted Hidden Power does not get through that fight. So we have to go Hidden Power Grass, and we have to go up against the Mudkip line in order to make this work. So if Unown moves on, we're going to say definitively that it's only the Hidden Power Grass variant that actually gets through this section. So we're going to set our HP IV to 30 and our special attack IV to 30, and that's how we're going to run the rest of this challenge with this Pokemon. So let's see how this goes now with our Unown, with a 4x super effective Hidden Power on the first Geodudes, and then a 2x super effective Hidden Power on the Nosepass. So first things first, we'll go for Hidden Power on Geodude, and that gets a one-hit KO. Out comes the second Geodude as we get to level 9. Once again, Hidden Power, one-shots. So we get to the final Nosepass on full health at level 10. Here we can go Hidden Power, and we get a critical hit right off the bat. Oh, that's just insane. Here, now we can just Hidden Power again, and a second crit comes in, so we get a two-hitter. Let's try this one again, because I want to see when she actually gets to use her healing on the Nosepass, if it's actually consistent. We will let the Hidden Power Grass Unown continue on in the challenge, but I'm just doing this to see how consistent it actually is. Obviously, the two Geodudes are now non-factors because they get completely wrecked by the 4x weakness. Let's see again on Nosepass though. Normally, Hidden Power Grass here would be doing 12 damage. So it would be a 3 to 4 hit KO if that range holds up. In fact, we get a better range on the second hit, so it is a 3 to 4 hit KO range here depending on damage rolls. We get the Oranberry. Now she's gonna potion, but she hasn't damaged us yet, and she uses her second potion there. So here with this range, I do think we get through. I don't think we could get knocked out by like Rock Tomb or anything. So finally, we find one Unown that can actually beat this entire section of the game, Hidden Power Grass. The problem with Hidden Power Grass is that, yes, we will be up against the Marsh Stomp next, so we'll have 4x super effectiveness there, but we still have a Lombre before that is going to resist our move. And we're going to have a fire type on our team, I think Slugma, that's going to resist that move. Then we get to Watson, and he's going to have his Magneton that resists the Hidden Power Grass. So I'm pretty sure that the Unown with Hidden Power Grass does not get through the next section, at least not without some sort of crazy luck, probably having to struggle or something like that, which I just don't see working out. So on that basis, I can say that Unown, while it does get through here, only one Unown typing is actually good in this section of the game. Hidden Power Grass with specifically the Mudkip rival. Every other Hidden Power typing, even at its maximum power, fails against Roxanne. So you could look at that as like an additional 15 Pokemon being eliminated right here on the basis that they can't beat Roxanne. Hidden Power Water because it couldn't beat Rival 1. Hidden Power Steel, Hidden Power Fighting, Hidden Power Ground, and even Hidden Power Psychic because they don't do enough damage to Roxanne. Now you could make the argument for Hidden Power Water getting through just on the basis that you could probably struggle down Rival 1. So on that basis, maybe in the next section we'll run Hidden Power Grass and Hidden Power Water just to test them and see. Hidden Power Water might do just a little bit better, though it probably also gets walled by the second rival if I have to guess, but that's probably the only one that could even have a chance against Watson. So we will allow it just to see, and we definitely know struggle strats are not going to work here. The hidden powers we're using are 70 base hidden powers, stronger than struggle with no recoil. So just on that basis, we also know struggle doesn't work. Hidden Power Water and Hidden Power Grass, they are the only possibilities in this section of the game. So with that, I am throwing Unown into the pass column, but with that big asterisk that only 2 Unowns are even theoretically really possible here. Hidden Power Ice, maybe with enough resets, but yet again, I think that one gets walled when we get to Rival 2 or when we get to Watson at the latest by his Magneton. So I think this is the only way to progress, and that's far fewer Unowns than got through, say, Faulkner and even Bugsy in the previous generation. So that is nuts. Anyway, with that done, now we just have a bunch of fire types. I think they're getting wrecked, but let's check in and see. We'll also throw in our member pick Ponyta since Rapidash has already been run previously, and it is the year of the fire horse, so we better get that one in here and see how it goes. But man, oh man, oh man, Roxanne continues to be a massive wall in this section. Those 69 standard Pokemon have actually managed to win here, so that is kind of nice. but I don't think we're going to get over 69 in this one. Maybe we don't want to get over 69 in this one. I don't know. Anyway, Camerupt time. Let's see how this goes. Now, Camerupt is fire ground, so I guess it does have some chances here, and it does have high attacking stats and low speed. We're just going to have to see if it gets a move that's good enough here, though. That's what I'm really worried about. Still, if anything's going to get through, I think this has the best chance of these fire types in this episode, outside of the member pick Ponyta that's going to be completely OP. I think this is probably the only case that's actually going to work, maybe. So, of course, we'll get Camerupt in the Torchic Ball right here, and let's just see the starting moveset. We get Growl, Tackle, Ember, and Magnitude. Wait a second, Magnitude might be enough with some good rolls to actually get through here. It is Stab, and it will be dealing some, I think, significant damage with Magnitude 8 or higher. The question is exactly what magnitudes do we need to progress? Here for now, we'll take on the Mudkip with rival May, where I think we just stick with the Magnitude. And here we're going to get an easy 2-hitter with a couple of good rolls. So yeah, this should be fine, at least through to Roxanne. Now, of course, Magma Armor doesn't do anything for us here since nothing's going to try to freeze us. But that could also be helpful later on if we do manage to progress far enough. Though how many Pokemon will use Ice-type moves against us, I honestly don't know. It's at least a strat for progressing in the game. But for now, I think we're going to be fine against all the randos. Let's get straight to Roxanne herself. Now, of course, because we're in the medium fast level up group, we're only going to go into the Roxanne fight at level 8, so we're 4 levels lower than our Geodudes. We might need like a magnitude 9 or a magnitude 10 to actually knock those Pokemon out in a single hit. I'm going to give the Oranberry because I'm pretty sure we will at least take some Rock Tombs here, and with Rock being neutrally effective, I mean, it's still going to do decent damage. We'll just have to see how this goes, but maybe we can deal enough to actually get through. Let's find out. So attempt number 1 here against Roxanne, I'm just going to go Magnitude. I'm just going to go all in on attack. We get Magnitude 5 that does pitifully little. We get Rock Tombed, and now Rock Throw. We use our Oranberry right here, but it just knocks me out with a Rock Throw after that. There could be an argument for going for Growl or Ember to try to lower the attack, but I want to see what happens when I get a good Magnitude here. We get a Rock Tomb miss, and then we get a Magnitude 8 after a Magnitude 6. That's enough to knock out the first Geodude. Next Geodude, we hit the Magnitude. We're in a speed tie after that. She has to use a potion and even another potion. We get a nice Magnitude 9 followed by a Magnitude 8. So we did make it to the final Nose Pass with the Oranberry still on. She goes Block turn 1. We get Magnitude 7, now Harden, and we get Magnitude 10. So we beat Roxanne within a couple attempts with our Camerupt. It all comes down to the fact that we actually have Magnitude here, though. The question for Numel is, what level does it learn that move? Because our next level up move isn't until level 25. And I'm willing to bet that we probably just get Tackle and Growl at the start with our Numel, which I don't think will be enough. We're going to have to get to Magnitude to have any shot here. Let's see. Now, Numel just has lower stats overall across the board, so I'm not sure if it's going to be able to survive here or not either. We saw we were taking pretty decent damage from the Rock Throws and Rock Tombs. Still, I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to at least get to Hiker Devon with no issues, but we'll just have to see if that's actually the case, and it depends entirely on the moveset. So let's pick up Numel and see what we get. We get Tackle and Growl, exactly as I expected. So while this is fine for the early game, it's definitely not fine for Roxanne. And Magnitude does not come in until level 19, and Ember not until level 11. So there's just no way we get through here because we don't even have Ember strats before Roxanne to try to go for like some attack drops. We would not get to level 11 until we actually defeat Roxanne's Nose Pass. So I think this one's already done, but we can go for the tackles here and just see how we do against everything else. We do manage to beat May on the first attempt, thanks to our max IVs. And I think we're good to go against the Poochyenas, because, like, what are they going to do? But here, Hiker Devon might just be our final boss, since he's probably the only one we can actually get through. So here we are against Tiger Devon. I'm going to give him a growl right off the bat just to reduce damage a little bit. He goes for the defense curl, and now we're doing 1 damage per hit. So yeah, this is not looking great. He's doing like 3 damage to us with the tackles. And because of the fact that we are not going to be able to deal much more than this, thanks to his defense curls, we're just kind of getting wrecked by this fight. We simply go down on the first attempt. If we cannot beat Hiker Devon, we do not beat Roxanne. Yes, we could go struggle strats. It's not going to be great. So I think we can just eliminate Numel right there. Yes, it's neutrally affected by rock rather than weak, but it's still just not enough. I'm going to check in on Torkoal next. So Torkoal comes in with massive defense and really low speed with decent attacking stats and kind of decent HP, but the pure fire type probably wrecks us here. Maybe we get something good, but I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that there's any move that a fire type could have that's actually good enough to get through here without some secondary typing. So I think this one just gets destroyed, but we'll just see. So we'll pick up Torkoal in the Torchic ball and let's just see what we've got. We've got Ember and Smog. Yeah, maybe we could manage a situation where the Ember allows us to like get a burn and we can survive more turns that way. But obviously we can't poison the opponent and have them be burned. So we can only go for one or the other. I don't think this is going to be great. Now, White Smoke does prevent any stat drops, which is kind of nice, but I just don't think it's going to be enough here as we go through this. Here, we'll just try the rival fight, though. Let's just see. I'm going Smog because I kind of want to poison this Pokemon, and at least it's neutral. Here we get a nice critical hit even. So while Smog's not super accurate by any means, I think we can get it to go, but we actually lose the first attempt after Smog misses too many times. Still, I think this is the play, just trying to get the poison on the Mudkip. This time we do poison it. Now I'll switch into the Ember for the higher accuracy, but probably Ember is your best choice there, just on the basis that you will at least be guaranteed to hit every time. Still, this is not looking great with this Pokemon. Now, via level up, we did just get access to Curse, which does give us another strategy in that we could increase our defenses and lower the opponent's attack stat with a burn and get some chip damage. I'm not sure if this is enough to work, but we'll at least test it and see. Against Hiker Devon, though, I think we just go all on Ember, and that's probably enough. Let's test it and find out. So Hiker Devon attempt number 1, I will curse 1 time just to have some higher defense. He defense curls, but obviously his defense buffs don't matter. Ember looks like it's doing pretty decent damage here, so we do manage to knock out the first Geodude. We get to level 8 for the second Geodude. It goes defense curl, but again, that doesn't really matter. And so we do ultimately manage to knock out Hiker Devon, and we're ready to move on to Roxanne. The question is just how do we do here if we set up a bunch of curses and get a burn? I think we have to get the burn turn 1 on the first Geodude, and it's worth noting the first Geodude is faster than us, and we'll never have our speed lowered here due to the fact that we have White Smoke. So the second Geodude is probably just going to spam the Rock Tomb on me. Now, as far as I can tell, White Smoke is the only ability that this Pokemon can get, so there's nothing to do about that. Let's see how this fight actually works. So Roxanne attempt number 1, she defense curls turn 1. I'm going Ember. I'm trying to get a burn here. That is my entire plan. Rock Throw does over half. It does 17 damage here. And while we are doing decent damage and get her to use her potion, that definitely was not enough. We want to see like defense curl, burn, then let us curse in order to actually get through this, and a critical hit Rock Throw will just end me at any time. So I think we just reset any attempt where we don't get the burn turn 1, or at least get a burn before we get hit. Here we force her potion still on full health, and finally we get the burn. Now I'm cursing like crazy to raise my own defenses while the burn slowly does the job on this first Geodude. We see we only took 7 damage from that Rock Tomb, and now we've got quite a bit more defense as we go to the second Geodude at level 9. We're still slower because we've set up all of the curses, but I'm going for the burn here. We get the burn, so we can hopefully knock this Pokemon out as she potions. Rock Throw's not doing that much, We just use the Oran Berry, and the burn takes that one down. We've got 20 HP as we go to the Nose Pass. It goes hard in turn 1. This one's another one where we absolutely need the burn here, both to lower its attack and to get chip damage. It goes Tackle right there. Tackle again. It's not doing that much damage with Tackle, but we get a critical hit. We force the Oran Berry and the potion, but then she Rock Tombs me down. This is really, really close. Once again, we're just going to reset here for a run where we get the burn before we take any damage, and hopefully even get to set up some curses before we take any damage. That's the only way I see us getting through. So this time we get through the second Geodude, but on lower health. We did get the burn, but we didn't get enough luck with Defense Curls, so we simply lost that attempt. This time we got a turn 1 burn on the first Geodude, but it did go for the Rock Throw after that. So I'm just going to curse 6 times here and try to reduce damage as much as possible. We do have to use the Oran Berry on the first Pokemon, but here at least we should be able to take this one down, getting to the second Geodude on a little bit better health. It goes Defense Curl turn 1. We get a nice critical hit Ember there. We force the second potion. Now we just need to reduce her damage. The Rock Throw without the burn does way too much here. We only have 10 HP going to Nose Pass. Once again, we're going to need to burn this Pokemon to have a chance. We do finally burn the Nose Pass here, though. We've got 6 HP, but that was low enough that Rock Tomb could still end me at that point. So this requires an awful lot of luck. Everything from getting burns on all of the Geodudes to getting a lot of turns to set up Curse before they start actually attacking you, and a lot of Defense Curl rolls from the Geodudes as well. And even then, Curse isn't like making it so that we take no damage here. We're just taking less damage. Still, we get through the first Geodude on better health this time. Let's see if we can get it on the second Geodude. We get the burn before it Rock Throws, so we are getting a better run here as we get to the final Nose Pass, still with the Oran Berry on and green health. Let's see if we can get this. Can the burn come in? That is the question. We have to use our Oran Berry right there when we get a Tackle that did massive damage. We want no crits here. We're just not getting the burn on the Nose Pass, which is the problem. It's tackling. We finally get the burn there for some chip, but it gets a critical hit on me. We need a Rock Tomb miss. We get a Rock Tomb miss, and we do knock out the Nose Pass. Are you kidding me? We actually beat Roxanne with a pure fire type thanks to Curse and Burn. That is what you need to get through with a fire type. You need to curse at her 6 times and you need to burn all of her Pokemon. And even then, Rock Tomb miss comes in clutch at the end. Oh, the luck is just insane. She understands. She understands what we just did. Because the rules require it, she's gonna give us the stone badge. There we go. Oh, Torkoal, you absolute legendary little tortoise. That might be the first Pokemon that is weak to Roxanne and doesn't have super effective moves against Roxanne that has actually beaten Roxanne. Wait just a second. So coming back to our results so far is we're now up to 70 Pokemon legitimately beating Roxanne. Yeah, I'm not seeing any other Pokemon that don't have a super effective move against Roxanne that also have a weakness to Roxanne that are in that pass column. Like, keep in mind, the Blaziken is neutrally affected there. Something like Pelipper is weak to rock, but has the super effective water, which is why it gets through. Same for something like Dugong, has the super effective ice to get through. But as far as types where we were both resisted and were weak against rock, Torkoal is the first Pokemon to actually get that to go. That is absolutely insanity. Now I have to make a note about luck here. That was an insanely lucky fight, but I got it within a reasonable amount of time. My overlay crashed one time and I had to restart it, but I literally had just beaten her within like less than 15 attempts. And that's what I'm really looking for there. You can reset a lot of times on that fight just on the basis that you get hit by Rock Throw or Rock Tomb turn 1, in which case you just know to reset. The fact that we're already slower though means that she can just go for Defense Curl from the first Geodude a reasonable percentage of the time. Same for the second Geodude. It can go for Defense Curl a reasonable percentage of the time. So you don't just have to get a burn turn 1. You might have 3-4 turns to actually get a burn on that Pokemon. Then when you get to the final Nose Pass, as long as you've got all the curses set up and it's doing all of its hardened block stuff because it's faster than you actually have chances. If we were faster, this probably wouldn't have worked. But hey, we get it to go, so Torkoal moves on. We're gonna have to see how it does. But this is like the first Pokemon where I'm like, the Magnemite on Watson's team won't really be an issue. We'll just use Fire-type moves there to get through. The rival on the way up from Slateport is probably the wall. But, you know, we'll just have to see. For now, Torkoal moves on, and that was legendary. But with that, we get to Ponyta, who has been saved by channel member Peter. He did not give it a name because he said naming things is hard. But we are going to be running this Ponyta with an incredibly OP moveset. We just have to get our Pokemon so that we can start this challenge properly. Now, Ponyta has a few advantages. It does have decent attack and speed. Everything else is pretty middling, but it still should be enough with the strategy that we have in mind here. So let's just see how this actually works out. So first up, as we come into the Zigzagoon fight, we can see that normally Ponyta just knows Tackle and Growl. Obviously not a moveset that's going to get you through this section, and it only learns Tail Whip via level up at level 9, so it doesn't even get there until it's beaten one of the Geodudes, which is why this Pokemon is absolutely eliminated in its normal form. But that is why our good friend Peter here has decided to save this one with a much stronger moveset. We are coming in with Flamethrower, Sunny Day, Solar Beam, and Hypnosis. Now, a quick look at Bulbapedia reveals to us that Hypnosis is an egg move for this Pokemon, so we can legitimately have that. Solar Beam is a TM, Sunny Day is a TM, and of course, Flamethrower is a TM. So we are running a legitimate Gen 3 moveset for this Pokemon. And of course, the strategies here are pretty simple. Put things to sleep with Hypnosis, set up Sunny Day, and then deal damage. I don't think we'll need to do that for most things. I think we can mostly go Flamethrower, but here against the first rival May, this is the first spot where definitely going for a Sunny Day makes sense. She's going to tackle with a critical hit doing 7 damage, but now we'll just Solar Beam and one-shot that Mudkip, and that's going to give us some strategies against Rival 2. When we've got the Marsh Stomp out, if we just outspeed and we have access to Sunny Day already, maybe we set it up on the previous Pokemon, we're going to be able to just Solar Beam that Pokemon down and move on. So I think this one actually has legit chances of getting through at least a decent section of the game with this setup. We're just going to have to see, but for now, I think Flamethrower takes out everything else on the way to Roxanne. So let's just get straight to the gym leader and see how this goes. And with absolutely no issues, we have made it to Roxanne here. We're at level 8 coming into this fight. And now it's just time to see if Peter can manage to get through with this setup. We're going to go for the Oranberry, of course, just for a little healing. I'm not sure if it's actually going to matter, to be perfectly honest with you. But we outspeed all of the Pokemon. If we can put the first Geodude to sleep, we'll set up Sunny Day. We should knock out the 2 Geodudes with the Solar Beam after that. Then on the Nose Pass, I think we have to put it to sleep again, because I don't expect Solar Beam to like one-shot there. But let's just see how this actually works out. So Roxanne attempt number 1, we're going to try to put this first Geodude to sleep. We do. Now we just need it to stay asleep as we set up Sunny Day here. It wakes up and it hits Rock Throw and we get wrecked. Oh, come on. Please sleep for 1 turn. Just 1 turn. That's all I need. Here we once again put it to sleep. We can go Sunny Day. Apparently the bright sun woke it up the first time, but this time it stays asleep. We Solar Beam in 1 shot. That will bring out the second Geodude as we get to level 9. We will not learn Tail Whip. Let's go with this instead. The sunlight is strong. We Solar Beam, and that one-shots that Pokemon as well. We get to level 10 as the Nose Pass comes out. We are faster. We've got to land sleep here. We get the Hypnosis. It stays asleep for 1 turn at least. We can Solar Beam. That does about half. We're going to force the Oranberry right there. Solar Beam again, but now the harsh sunlight has gone. We survive on 2 HP, and with the speed drop, we're in a speed tie here. She potions, we go Hypnosis. She misses Rock Tomb after that. We manage to hit Hypnosis. I'm setting up Sunny Day again as the Nosepass is asleep. Let's go for the Solar Beam. That's going to force, I think, another potion out of her. We'll Solar Beam again. Please stay asleep. Please stay asleep. We managed to hit, and just like that, yes. Oh yes, Ponyta gets through. Peter, good strategy there with the Solar Beam, Sunny Day, Hypnosis. That is enough to get us through this section. Now we should have chances against everything. We've got speed, we've got the sleep, we've got the Sunny Day to power up our 2 attacking moves. So I think that we're going to be good to go, but we'll just have to see how it works out in the next section. Solar Beam, Sunny Day strats are definitely going to be OP though, and Sunny Day plus Flamethrowers always going to give us a chance. I think we go straight to Brawly, then try to take on the rival, then try to go on to Watson, but I think this one will get through the next section. It's going to be really exciting to see. So I'll just give a massive thank you to Peter for joining and supporting the channel and supporting the Fire Horse in the year of the Fire Horse. There is another Fire Horse out there, by the way, if anybody wants to maybe give a slightly different setup to that Rapidash and see if it can move on. But for now, Peter, thank you very much. Appreciate ya. And we have finished another episode of the Roxanne Minimum Battles series. So let's get to our wrap up and see the Pokemon for next time, because there are going to be some kind of interesting ones in this next group. So at the end of another episode, we finish with 70 Pokemon legitimately beating Roxanne. And I'm just saying right now, nobody called Torkoal getting through this. Nobody called it. So now with another episode done, let me give a massive thank you to all the channel members for their support on this series so far. We have now successfully gotten 70 Pokemon through Roxanne legitimately. Another 24 have been saved from the fail column by the channel members, but the only fire types that have managed to get through so far are the Blaziken from the beginning, because it is a dual type, and the Torkoal. That is insanity to me. We have saved quite a few other ones by giving them stronger moves, including Charmeleon and Charizard, the Vulpix and Ninetales, my personal Arcanine, of course, Ponyta and Typhlosion, but that still leaves an awful lot of Pokemon down there in that fail column. Legitimately 150 Pokemon have failed to get through this section, and 12 Pokemon needed to struggle somewhere to get through. That is incredible. Still, we'll be coming back next time with a slate of 16 Pokemon. It's going to be a slightly shorter episode because of the fact that my wife is going out of town. I'm going to be on baby duty next weekend, so I'm going to have to just make things a little bit shorter so that I can get everything done. But we are going to be coming in with our Drowsy and Hypno, with our Crabs, Krabby and Kingler, Voltorb and Electrode, I think, are just completely out of there. We're going to get Slugma and also the Magcargo that's currently in the member picks section. That Magcargo will get run normally first to see if it can get through, but assuming it doesn't, then it will get the extra moves with the support of the member to try to get through in that case instead. We'll also get in Swinub and Piloswine. Maybe with their ground typing, they can get some sort of ice type move and get through. Corsola will come in, which will be kind of interesting. Then we will be getting Spoink and Grumpig in this one. Spinda coming, Trapinch, Vibrava, and Flygon. I'm honestly not sure how these are going to go. I expect that a lot of our Pokemon are going to have weaknesses that get them completely wrecked or not have enough moves to get through. So my early prediction right now is that we might be able to get through with the Crabs. We probably can get through with something like Hypno if it has Confusion and Hypnosis on the moveset. I don't think Drowsy will get Confusion early enough, which is why I think it's probably out of there. Slugma, Magcargo are probably done. The Swinub and Piloswine are going to depend on their moveset. Same for Corsola. I don't think we're getting the Piggies through. I don't think Spinda gets through. Trapinch, I'm honestly not sure what moves that Pokemon even gets. I've never used it. So I'm going to predict, honestly, that we probably get through with at most 4 Pokemon next time. But place your own predictions down below. I always love to read them. We'll see what movesets they get next time. But for now, that does it for another episode. Appreciate you guys for watching. Thanks for 800 subs. We are running it up here. Someday we're going to be bigger than RBY Pokemon challenges. I'm telling you right now. Anyway, that does it for this one. I'll see you in the next one. Later.